Still waking up. Timestamp February 7th, 2026. A little after 5 a.m. Got a weird flag going across my screen. I got a puppy that's going nuts. He went out like an hour ago, but again, when I start videos, sometimes he says, "Oh, you just went out, man." Yeah. Kids. Went to bed at 7 or 8 p.m. Got up at 3, something like that. That's my butt. When we were looking at the litter in which Acorn was a part, it said that they were a beagle mix. So I looked up beagles because I hadn't really. I've known a couple over the years, but I've never owned one. And a couple of the different places that I looked said that they were very talkative, which I've been around Siberian Huskies, so my parents used to raise them back up north when we were in Pennsylvania. It's actually an interesting thing. I don't think I have any handy, but in going through the mountains of crap here, we found some like old pictures, like from the early '70s. You know, dawn of man kind of stuff. But there's actually some pictures of me, like hanging out on a couch with like a husky on each side and whatnot, which was kind of cool because I don't even remember, you know, that picture, that image being taken. I was like 2 at the time or whatnot. I'm like, oh wow, okay, yeah, just hanging out with the almost wolves. But yeah, I'd seen that beagles were talkative, as far as like smaller dogs, whatnot. They were among the more talkative ones, which amused me. And I mean, he still does amuse me when he does that kind of crap. But it's like, come on, man. Now you're just playing games. But pretty sure we know Mom was a beagle. You know, saw some litter mates and whatnot. Mom was a beagle. Dad was probably a German Shepherd, which I'm not even going to try and do the math on that. But it's an interesting mix. Because he's definitely bigger than a beagle, and his coloring is all about Shepherd. All about Shepherd. But yeah, I've been up a little while just kind of trying to get my bearings. Got like a shadow headache again. I don't know if it's emphysema or if it's pressure, silliness, because my sinuses react sometimes when it's like cold and whatnot. Sometimes it'll cause like a sinus thing with me and give me a sinus headache, you know. Okay, so it's 50 out. A little bit warmer than the past couple nights. It's been in the 30s. I think it actually hit like 28 or 29 the other night, which, you know, this is Florida, that's cold. Central Florida, even. But I've got, you know, I always have so much stuff to do. It's not like I am ever lacking stuff to do. Just trying to get my head in the game here. Dishes, laundry. Not sure what I'm drinking. It wasn't made by me. This is I think I showed you this the other day, but this is the Bugs Bunny and King Arthur's Court. Love it. Yeah, I like the Bully for Bugs one, but I wish I'd rather have like an extra one of that and the Hairway to the Stars. Is what is. And I may acquire them as time goes on. These are the other 2 tables. I've got the other 3 I'm almost done. I need to do some fine tuning on it because a little blue on the orange, a little orange on the blue, chocolate and my peanut butter kind of stuff. These two I was saving for last. I might have to do a second coat on the primer because these were like black and white striped up top. And you can see that even with one coat of the primer, it's still... My concern is that since I'm doing the orange yellow on top, I don't know if that, I don't know, distortion, I don't know what to call it, if that's going to bleed through and make it weird. So, I don't know. I'm going to do a second coat up top. Try and mask that a little bit more. Be a little bit more generous with the spread. My girl's starting to get really frustrated, which what we're trying to do right now is a marathon, not a sprint, and that makes it frustrating because we're used to, even in our daily lives, typically our day jobs, very rarely are we doing, most people aren't, you probably aren't, maybe you are, but probably not. Probability says no. You're not working on a daily job that is actually like a 3-year project or something. And that's kind of what we've got going on here as far as going through, clearing the debris, dehoarding the craziness that is Leonardo Station. So it's real easy to just get incredibly frustrated with the idea of, even with the idea of doing 1 brick a day. So I am trying to make sure that we keep moving, but also pace ourselves to where we don't burn out or explode. It's very frustrating because doing the 1 brick, you don't really see major results, after a day or 3 days work. You look back on it and go, we're nowhere near there. Which, we're not. We're not going to be. That's the point of this, just like building a house in the more traditional sense. It's not a 1-day thing. You don't bibbidi-bobbidi-boo and suddenly the house is complete. You gotta lay the foundation. You gotta make sure you got what you need in place there for plumbing and electrical as well when you're doing that. We're not even talking about getting the land itself prepped. You know what I mean? There are steps, there are stages. I've watched houses get built. Maybe you have too. That's not too crazy a thing. We do experience that. Even if you're driving through an area that's being built, you'll watch it over the course of a week or a month or 3 months or a year even start to take shape. The problem with this scenario is we're actually immersed in it. So it's a lot harder to see the progress. And also, keeping it real, my parents and their hoarding and silliness, there is some monumental silliness here that's real easy to not be able to see through from a progress standpoint. Because, wow, people, we're working on the lanai a little bit. Tiny and I. Just kind of doing 2 to 10 boxes a day. And you almost can't tell. We've been at it a week. And you, Tiny and I can look at it and go, yeah, I know, we did this, you know. We can see where the change has happened. But like Pix was here the other day, walked it, and was like, if you tell me that stuff's happening, great, but, you know, that is a little frustrating when you're going for a ta-da, you know, and the other person says, huh, you know. Because Tiny and I see it. But I know she's frustrated with George because it's, you know, like pre-move stupid over there. We're not hoarders exactly, but we were collectors who also closed a shop, and it was our shop was about 4,000 square feet. Now, mind you, not all 4,000 square feet was, you know, occupied by merchandise. There were walkways and tables for gaming and stuff like that, because we did a lot of gaming. Magic the Gathering was a huge thing at our shop. Friday Night Magic, we usually had between 20 and 40 players come out. For releases, we had, I think the most we had for release was like around 80, which, you know, that's solid. And we could actually seat them, so I mean, not all 4,000 square feet was merchandise or sales space. We still had a lot of stuff come home when we closed, which is part of what we've been doing on eBay the past few years, just to try and recoup, because it hurt. It still hurts my soul. I liked what I was doing, but we just, you know, the building got sold that we were renting, and we did not have enough capital to really relocate. Tried for like 3 months to figure something out, and at that point just kind of had to pull the plug and say, no, we're done. And honestly, even then, for the next 9 months or so, I was still, you know, open to the idea if I could find just that right thing, and I was looking, but God closed that door. So apparently that was that part of my mission was done. You know, we do get downloads from the universe, or however you want to refer to it. That one I kept waiting for an update and it never came, so. I do miss it though. I enjoyed what I was doing, and based on the statements and or reactions of the public which we served, it's going to sound so silly because it was a hobby shop, but we were making a difference in people's lives, you know. It was a business, a shop, yes, but it was also an escape, a social gathering place for, I was going to say a lot of kids, but people. It wasn't just kids. People who needed somewhere to be, to belong, to be accepted, for a while, we were that place. So, I know I miss it partially for my own joy, my own enjoyment, because, you know, doing improv, doing theater, working around comic books and games all day long, I can think of worse ways to spend my time. So there is that personal gratification standpoint. But I also came to understand, and it's so funny because we didn't, you know, start out with the intention of, but it was supposed to just be a business initially, and then suddenly it almost became like a movement, you know. That was pretty exciting to be a part of. So personal gratification, yeah. And also that feeling like we were making a difference in people's lives. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. I know that sounds pretty Hallmark movie, but, you know, it became more than just a shop. It's kind of cool. Definitely not what I was expecting. But yeah, I miss it. Would I do it again? It was my world, my life for like 9 years. Would I do it again? Yes, and also no. Because I got asked that the other day by somebody. A shackleite. It's what we call people that used to come to the shop all the time. It was the comic shack, so people that came all the time, shackleite. It's a thing. Would I do it again? This is gonna sound so like Rafiki monk kind of answer, but if the door opened and I knew that I was supposed to go through it, yeah, I would. But I have learned in my 55 years that although you do have to work or strive to get certain things done, you know, the important things take work, you know, there are all those different mantras and phrases and whatnot. But I have also learned that watching the brush out. That's very hot water. Mother of pearl. Yes, important things take work. Wipe my hands off. Or my hand. Forcing something when it's the wrong time, the wrong place, you can. But it's probably going to fall apart because it's not meant to be. Well, Acorn, you keep following me closely, so yeah, the fridge door will hit you in the face. Can you force it? Yeah. Should you? No. No, you should not. So, not sure where Not sure where I'm going in this particular diatribe, but I'm equally not sure where I'm going. Just walking the path in front of me, which, Acorn, come on, man. The path has Beagle Shepherd mix on it. I don't know what I'm drinking coffee-wise. It wasn't made by me. I think it's an Alex blend. It's okay. Amazing? No, it's okay. The mug is great. But yeah, I don't know. I've got still congested from waking up. It's like getting out of cryo, you know. You always got that fluid buildup. I've got to write the epilogue for my parents' book, you know. That's on me. And then, I don't know. I want to get back into theater. Hopefully my lung condition will allow it. You know? As far as I know, I'm still, because I'm not required to be on oxygen. I don't feel the need to have a tube up my nose all the time. So I know I'm not in the severe category. Because the 4 stages of emphysema are mild, moderate, severe, very severe. Very severe, you're not doing much. Severe, you're still active, but you're pretty much on a tank most of the time. This is kind of my paraphrasing from what I've been able to pick up. Moderate, you're intermittently on a tank, which we tried a tank once. I was having a really bad day. It was a few months back. And my mom still has all kinds of oxygen gear here. And picks, with her medical background, was like, here, let's go ahead and throw this on and see if this helps you. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if I had like a chest infection, like a lung infection, or what it was. But it wasn't actually helping. It became more of a nuisance than anything. It was much easier just to breathe on my own. It was just, I was really shallow breath, just having a really hard time. I don't have asthma, but it almost felt like I was having like an ongoing asthma attack for like 20 minutes. But with moderate, you're usually on a tank every now and then for supplemental. And I'm not there. So I think I'm still what would be considered mild. But I haven't been able to go back to the doctors since all this began. Because I'd pretty much just been diagnosed when everything went sideways, which was the exit door to hell. And there was a very lovely display of hand baskets there. We could, you know, each pick one. So I'm hoping that, and I've been working on, when you like to sing, you always find yourself singing when no one's looking, at least, you know. And I've been doing a lot of that. I've been plugging in Jekyll and Hyde, Legally Blonde. I have the soundtrack for that. I have Guys and Dolls. I have all kinds of big old stack of Broadway soundtracks over there. Superstar, Sweeney. It's funny. Listening to Superstar the other day. And I do not have the vocal range for Jesus. But I could probably play Judas pretty well. And Heaven on Their Minds is an amazing piece to me. But there's a line in Gethsemane, which is Jesus' song in the garden. If you know the story from the Bible, you know, if you know the show. And the line is, after all I've tried for 3 years, seems like 30 seems like 30. And we've been at this dealing with my parents and their shenane for about 3 years, because it all started beginning of 2023. So that line hit, and I was just like, oh, art, quit imitating life. And then the exasperation, like a verse later, Jesus sings, after all I've tried for 3 years, feels like 90. Why then, it's just listening to Gethsemane going, yeah, I'm not about to be crucified, but yeah, I know how 3 years feels like 30. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Preach, brother. Preach. It's just very wearing on all of us. But where do we go from here? Yeah, I've been listening to Once More with Feeling also. Speaking of where do we go from here? If you know, you know. Really good job. Really good job. And anytime you can get, like, Anthony Head to sing, do it. My God, do it. It's a blessing. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Which I don't know wherever we wind up landing. It's definitely one of the autograph pictures that I'm going to get put back up on my wall. I do collect autographs, and I like autographs that are a little bit more unusual, like just an unusual picture of the person. I prefer, like, photo autographs. And I've got an autograph of Anthony Stewart Head, Tony Head, Giles, But before he was Giles, he played Frankenfurter. In case you didn't know that, now you do. He played Frankenfurter, I guess for like a year or two at Piccadilly in the UK. And an also amusing thing, if you remember Craig Ferguson, he had a late night talk show. Funny dude. He was Brad in the same production. So he and Tony Head did Rocky Horror together, a few months ago. But yeah, I've got a picture of Tony Head, and he's like in like the full corset, booty shorts with a boa, like almost doing a can. That's a conversation starter. When somebody sees that on your wall and they're like, isn't that Giles? Why is he dressed like that? Well, and I think it was like in the late 80s or early 90s. Many years ago, because he's a theater guy. And I've seen footage from the show. That would have been a neat one to see in the audience. Oh yeah. And I have been asked, would you do Frankenfurter again? Yes, I would. It was more fun than you're supposed to be allowed to have doing theater. He's so dirty. Dirty and diabolical. A lot of D there, actually. Dirty, diabolical, and other D. It's true. It's true also that I would do Rent again too. It was the most emotionally grueling show I've ever done. And I would do another production of it next week. There was a cathartic bliss to the show that I cannot define. It was incredibly emotional. Closing night was really emotional, but that was like, twofold because we were really enjoying it and we knew it was the last night, so it was rough on the entire cast. On top of the fact that the show was rough on the entire cast just because of what it is. It's really, if you're doing it right, if you're not moved by it and you're in the production, you're probably doing it wrong. You're probably doing it wrong. Because it is, and it is joyful in a lot of ways. And it's also heartbreaking. I mean, it's got everything to it. It's funny. I mean, it's everything that you want in theater. It has all that. Anger, love, hatred, heartbreak, joy. It's got it all. It's an amazing show. And I'm honored to have been a part of that because what a journey, Yeah, I do another production of Rent next week. Let's go. I'll be your tenant. Don't got much baggage to lay at your feet. Sweet kisses, I've got to spare. And I'm straight. How crazy is that, right? I've had so many people that are like, you did Rocky Horror and Rent. Those are the last two shows you did. Yes. And you're straight. Yes. What? Sorry? Do I offend you? So I'm going to get busy on my list. I got a pile of rubble behind me that Tiny brought in, like, okay, so on the lanai over here where we're working, it's a whole bunch of plastic totes, stacked badly and mislabeled, i.e. fishing lures. Believe nothing that you see. Get thee to a nunnery. So Tiny pulled in all of the like loose bits and bobs and debris that were on top of totes, because my dad apparently just kind of tossed stuff on top of some of the totes out there too. So those things were brought in. I'm going to try and disseminate that, and then we can plunge back into the tote cycling. One brick. I got Patrick Troughton over here lighting the way for me. That is one of the Zuru props that comes with the mini book. When you buy the like blind ball mini books, they come with a prop of some sort, like a mini prop of sorts. I got another one over here, if I can grab it. Sometimes it'll be like a little magnifying glass. There's a plastic PVC cat. There's a cup and salt, like a teacup and saucer, a candlestick. Because they come, the blind balls come with 2 or 3 books. I don't remember how many. I think 3. I think it's like 2 commons and Surprise Me, and then either a bookcase. They've got the little plastic bookcases that I've had over there. Candlestick. There's a lamp. Some mini brand prop kind of stuff. So I've had that candlestick floating around my desk space for a while, so I figured I'd let the second doctor carry it. It's a little big for him, but not necessarily. It's like pushing it. From a scale standpoint, it might be a little big. But then again, maybe not, because sometimes candlesticks and whatnot can be larger. I've got some of the green lamps in the library, and that's where the bookcases came from on that one side. They're all part of the Subaru set. So I'm going to call it here. I'm going to get to work. Dishes out, dishes in, laundry, trying to clear some space in the garage, pile of debris behind me, and it's Saturday, so I'm going to do some more eBay. I've got 2 packages so far that need to go out, which is a good problem to have. And I got a couple more things that might sell today. And I've got a whole bunch of buy it nows, so you never know when you're going to be surprised because somebody's going to come along and go, "Oh, I want that." But I've got 2 or 3 things that are being not necessarily bid on, but the watcher count has increased to the point where I think that someone's probably going to make a move. Yeah. And from a Doctor Who standpoint, just so that, because I do have people that are like, "You didn't do a Doctor Who update." I'm not sure if they're being sarcastic or not. I woke up to the face of evil twice, in that Tiny's cat Kaiser was camped out on the bed as well. So I had 2 faces of evil to contend with. That's Tom Baker. It's Leela's first episode. And again, it's the second time or third time I've seen it this week, which is weird because we are still on Tom Baker after like 6 days, and they're repeating a lot of episodes, which they're all good, so that's not really a problem. But from a formatting standpoint, it's really odd. It's like someone in the control booth fell asleep and it's just like replaying the same like 20 Doctor Who Tom Baker episodes. Seeds of Doom, Robots of Death. I went to bed, the Sunmakers was on. And they have a thing for Leela, which so do I, so I commend your choices. But it's kind of weird. This isn't normal formatting, because normally they would have moved on to Peter Davis, and we'd probably be on Colin Baker at this point. It's weird. So my grandmother was Romulan. That's where I get those from. I'm going to call it here. Parents, grandparents, do not do this to your kids, grandkids, nieces, whatever. Don't. Please don't. Clean up your mess before you get into your 80s. Have the common sense to know that if you're in your 80s, you're not going to fix this. You can say that you are going to, and you can have the desire to, but you're not going to. You're not. You're going to wind up leaving it for somebody else. Get help before then. So, that being said, hug your parents, hug your kids, and make it a great day.